Hey guys, Carl from Purple Moose Plays. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the drafting, tile-laying, spatial puzzler Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig from designers Matthew O'Malley and Ben Rosset and publisher Stonemaier Games. This one is a really intriguing one to me because this is actually a mashup of two already existing, well-regarded board games. One of them, Stonemaier's own Between Two Cities, also designed by Matthew O'Malley and Ben Rosset. And the other is Bezier Games' Castles of Mad King Ludwig, designed by Ted Alspach. This sort of brings up that question, just because something can be done, should it be done? I don't know. Let's head down to the table, see how it plays, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know first what I think about the game, and then compare it to the other two games and see, was this mashup worth it, and did it bring anything new to the table? I'll see you back here in a few. To set up a solo game of Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig, begin by placing out the 4 room type cards on the table, shuffling and placing out the Automa deck. This will be the AI for the Automa players. And then place out this sort of turn order card and turn order list for the solo mode. This is not necessary to be on the table, but it's going to be helpful to sort of track things as you go in case you forget something along the way as far as timing or which round or turn it is. It's nice to have those out on the table. So then also should put on the table somewhere the specialty rooms, the royal attendant tiles, the bonus cards, and in this case I will also be playing with the expansion, the Secrets Soirees expansion that contains the solo mode as well. So I will also need to place out the ballroom cards from the expansion. The ballroom cards are all different, which is unique compared to the other specialty rooms, so they should be shuffled and placed out. I'll put those over here as well. Now, it is worth mentioning those do come in their own tray as well. I just don't have a ton of space on camera, and most of the other things in that tray are just the normal tiles we'll be using for the game, and these special room tokens. I'm just going to keep them off camera and we'll take things onto camera when needed. Before I set up the rest of the game, I should explain just a little bit about how the game works first. In this game, we're actually going to be playing against 2 Automa characters because the way that the base game of Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig works is that we're actually going to be building castles with each of our neighbors. So in order for me to build castles with more than one neighbor, I'm going to need to use 2 Automa in this case. So you'll see in just a minute, we're going to set up a castle area over here for me and the right Automa, and we're going to set up another castle area over here for me and the left Automa, and then this strip up here is going to represent the castle that's shared by the 2 Automa players. So let me go ahead and finish setting up the game. To set up those castle areas, as I mentioned, we're going to take these throne room tiles, give them a good shuffle, and we'll place one in each of the shared castles, and we'll place one up here. This isn't going to stay here, but it's going to sort of set up the conditions for the shared Automa castle at the top. So to finish setting up the shared castle at the top, we're going to take a look at the throne, and each throne room has 2 specific room types that it's looking to score off of. In this case, we're looking at the gray corridor rooms and the yellow food rooms. So I'm going to mark with these 2 castle pieces the gray corridor room, which is the leftmost room. We're going to mark with the green castle. And the food room, which is the rightmost bonus scoring room on here, we're going to mark with the yellow castle. What that's going to do is those are going to give sort of priority to those 2 room types as the Automa start building their own shared castle. Next, we're going to set out the red castle, starting on the Roberta von Links, or the left Automa player, and this is just going to help us keep track of whose turn it is at any given time. And then finally, we need to set out the blue and gray castle tiles. These are going to be used for us to sort of mark tiles, and you'll see that in a minute when I get into gameplay. But we're going to mark tiles that we hope the Automa character will draft to place in the castles that we share with the Automa player. So I'm going to set those there for right now. The rest of the setup is going to be sort of actually getting into the gameplay. We are going to be playing, as you can see on this card, 2 full rounds. And each round is going to consist of 3 hands of tiles. And each of these hands of tiles will be 9 tiles to start. So we're going to be playing through a total of 6 stacks of 9 tiles. So we're going to set up round 1 first, which means from the insert as I showed before, I'm going to be taking 3 random stacks of 9 tiles. Now I'll talk more about this later when we get into discussing components and inserts. But the game actually comes with a very nice insert like this. These two are extra tiles, but all of the other stacks are already set up as 9 tiles. So I'm just going to grab 3 of those stacks at random to set up the first round. All right, so I've sort of put the 3 stacks in weird random places because we are going to be building out on these castles, and I am going to have to be rearranging things and reorganizing things as we use the available screen space on camera here. But these are going to be the second hand and third hand. In just a minute, I will set this up for the first hand. And to do that, we're going to put these 9 tiles out face up in front of us. All right, so now that we're all set up for our first hand of the game, let me walk you through how the game is played, explain briefly how the game scores, and then we'll go ahead and get into the gameplay itself. So in each hand, we're going to be playing 4 turns. In the first hand, we'll start with the left automa, and we will do left, then right, then me, then left again. And then in the second turn, continuing that right, me, left, right, and so on, taking 4 turns per round. And each turn, we're going to be taking 2 of these tiles and placing them somewhere on the table, which means we will be left with 1 final tile, and that tile will be removed from the game. We'll then move to the second hand, do the same thing. The third hand, do the same thing. In the second round, it will play out exactly in the same way, except that we will be moving counterclockwise from player to player rather than clockwise like we are in the first round. When it is my turn, I will simply be drafting any 2 of these tiles, placing 1 in this castle and placing 1 in this castle. On an AI's turn, they're going to be flipping over their card, and the card is going to dictate 2 things. First, it's going to dictate which card they will place up here. And then it will dictate which card or which tile they will place in the castle that they share with me. I'll get into a little bit more of the details about that because I do have a little bit of control over how that plays out when we get into the first automa turn, which will be right now to start the game. But before I do that, let me explain how placement works and how all of the different rooms work. All rooms can be placed anywhere in the castle so long as they're placed orthogonally adjacent to a tile that is already in the castle. The only specific rule is that only certain rooms will be allowed to be placed under sort of what this throne room is placed at. This is the ground level. And the only things that can be placed below ground level are going to be corridor rooms, these sort of basement rooms with the downstairs symbol, and also the secret rooms that were introduced in the expansion. All other room types, meaning food, living, utility, outdoor, sleeping, and activity, must be placed on the same level as the throne room or higher. So most of the castle will be growing up, but some of the basement things will be growing down from the castle. Otherwise, you can place anywhere you'd like to, so long as, again, it is orthogonally adjacent to a tile that has already been placed. But the reason you're going to be doing that is that each room scores in a unique way. And in addition, anytime you have placed 3 of the same room type in your castle, you're going to trigger a unique bonus for that room type as well. And then finally, if you ever place 5 of the same room type in your castle, you're also going to be able to take one of the specialized rooms of your choice. So let's take a quick look at the different types of rooms, how they score, and the bonuses that they trigger when you've placed 3 or more in your castle. So to start, we've got the food rooms. Again, they must be placed above ground level, and they're going to score 2 points for the room directly above or directly below, matching whatever the room type is that's printed on that tile. And if you ever place 3 of them, you're going to then draw 5 random tiles from the box and place 1 of them in your castle. Next is the living type, again, only above ground, and that scores 1 per a certain type of room that is on any of the 8 directions adjacent to that tile. And the bonus for a living tile, if you've placed 3 or more, is you're going to take one of these royal assistance tiles. And this will make more sense as we get into the game. But every room, and you can see it on the throne room already, are these symbols like this. So here you see a torch symbol. The royal assistants are going to allow you to choose one of those symbols, and you're going to score a point for every one of those symbols anywhere in your castle. The next room type is the utility room. Again, only above ground, and that's going to score 1 point per connected room of a specific type. Connected means you can create a path only connecting through orthogonally adjacent tiles from that orange tile. So if you make a long chain of a specific room type connected to an orange tile, you'll score lots of points with that. And the utility room bonus is going to be letting you take one of these orange bonus cards. Let me show you one from the bottom of the deck now so you can get an idea of what they look like. But these are going to score you points based on some kind of special condition in your castle. So when you place your third orange room, you're going to be able to draw 3 of those bonus cards and select one to keep for bonus scoring at the end of the game. Next are the outdoor rooms, again only above ground. The outdoor rooms are going to score 1 point per specific type of tile anywhere in your castle. And when you place the third one, you're going to be able to place a fountain. And a fountain is this tile right here that simply scores you 5 points for having it in your castle. Now, you'll notice that this tile has a blue outline. The outdoor tiles that I just mentioned will also have a blue outline, and what that means is any tile with a blue outline can never have anything built directly above it because it's meant to be outside, so there's no way for me to build over an open courtyard of any kind. The next room is the sleeping room, and the sleeping room again only above ground, and this is going to score 4 points if you have 6 other room types in your castle. If you do not, the sleeping room is only worth 1 point. So you want to try and diversify what's in your castle if you're going to be placing sleeping rooms. And the bonus for placing 3 sleeping rooms is the tower piece. And the tower piece is this one right here. The tower piece is going to score you points, 1 point, per every tile that's placed in the column below it. So if you can put this up high in your castle, you're going to score a lot of points for everything that's directly below that tile. Next is the activity room. This is the first new room type in the expansion. And the activity room is going to score you 1 point for every room that's placed orthogonally adjacent to it. However, it's also going to specify a room type that it does not want to be next to. And if that room type is in any of the 8 spaces surrounding it, the tile is only going to be worth 1 point and not 1 per orthogonally adjacent tile. The bonus for placing an activity tile is you're going to be able to draw 3 of those ballroom tiles and select one to place in your castle. And a ballroom tile, I'll take from the bottom just to show you what they look like, is actually going to score you 1 point for every tile that matches a certain type, not in your own castle, but in the 2 other adjacent castles next to you. The next room type is the corridor. And the corridor, again, can be placed above or below ground level. And it's going to score you 1 point per every symbol in the corner that matches on the 8 tiles surrounding it. And those symbols are the ones that I showed you before on the royal attendant tiles that are going to be things like crossed swords or mirrors, and I'll point those out as we play through. And the bonus now for the corridor is you're going to draw a grand foyer and place that anywhere in your castle. And this can be placed either above or below ground, and this acts somewhat like the brown activity rooms, in that it's scoring a point for everything that's adjacent to it, now both diagonally and orthogonally, and this doesn't have that caveat that it can't be next to a specific kind of room. Next we have the second room type from the expansion, and that is the secret room that can be built either above or below ground. And the secret room doesn't do anything special bonus-wise because what happens is the secret room is it's not its own room type. The secret room is going to copy whatever room is in the space next to the secret tile in the direction that the arrow on the tile is pointing. So it's basically duplicating the room next to it. And that means the bonus is also going to be based on whatever color you've turned it into and not on the secret room type itself. And then finally, we have the downstairs rooms. Downstairs rooms, again, can only be placed underground. And they're going to score you 1 point for a specific room type that's anywhere above or below in the same column as those stairs. And the bonus for placing 3 downstairs rooms is you get to choose any of the other bonus types that you'd like. And again, one more time to remind you, anytime we have 5 of the same room type, we immediately get to draw any one of those special room tiles to place into our castle. So just to reiterate, we're going to be playing through 3 hands twice, round 1 and round 2, so a total of 6 hands of 9 tiles, building these castles. And at the end of both rounds, we're going to go through each of those rooms based on the scoring conditions I just told you, and we will score the castles. Now, the other twist to this game is the player's score is actually going to be based on their lowest scoring castle. So I'm going to be building 2 castles myself, and each of the Automa players is going to be building 2 castles as well. And we're each going to take the point value of our lower scoring castle. And whoever has the highest total from their lower scoring castle is going to be the winner. Now, if there is a tie, then you're going to compare the highest scoring castle of those 2 players, and whoever has the higher score of those 2 castles is going to be the winner. And then the second tiebreaker in the base game is whoever has the most specialty rooms in their castle. And in this case, the Automa never places specialty rooms in their shared castle. So if we ever do make it to the second tiebreaker for any reason, I instantly win the game. All right, so let's go ahead and get into play. Sorry. I just realized there's one thing that I did forget to mention, and that's the throne room itself. As I showed at the beginning when setting up the Automa's castle area, these have 2 specific room types they're looking for, and you're going to score 2 points for each of them if they are located in either of the 2 spaces that are marked in this image. So for this throne room, I want to have either living or corridors on either side of this throne room to score 2 points for each of those tiles. And for this one over here, it wants to have food or sleeping either to the left or the top left over here. So we're starting here with the left Automa player, which is this castle over here. To start, I do want to make sure that I can get a sleeping or a food here and here. And if we look at our tiles down here, I've got a downstairs that scores for sleeping rooms above it. I've got this activity room that scores as all activity rooms score, but its negative scoring condition is a sleeping room. So if I take that, I don't want any sleeping rooms next to it. I've got a corridor here that scores for torches, which this throne room already has a torch. This one has a round mirror. Here I've got an outdoor room that scores for living rooms. Here I've got a corridor that scores again for torches. Here I've got a living room that scores per downstairs rooms that are the 3 spaces below it. I've got a food room that scores for sleeping directly above or below, which is interesting because I need a food room over here and a sleeping room over here, but they need to be diagonal, so that may or may not help me to start. And we don't have any sleeping rooms yet anyway, so I wouldn't mind taking that food as one of those 2 starting. We've got another outside that scores for living rooms. Oh, and another outside that scores for living rooms. If I put all of those in a castle and start piling some living rooms, we could score well. And this castle does want a living room here and or here. So that's not a bad way to start either. All right, so the way that the AI is going to work is in a minute, it's going to turn over this card, select a card for its own castle, and select a card for the castle that we share. Before it does that, however, I'm going to use this gray and blue castle to mark 2 tiles down here that I would like to have it choose for our shared castle. So in this case, I definitely want to take potentially this yellow tile because I do want a food room touching that tile. And also I know that this basement scores on sleeping and I wouldn't mind having a sleeping there as well. So I'm going to aim for those 2. And then we'll turn over the first Automa card, and what we see is this. This thing at the top here marks that any secret tiles that are in our row, which we don't have any right now, but if we did, they would be considered utility rooms for this turn. Then this is going to be the priority order that the Automa uses to select a tile to place in the Automa castle. So this symbol means it's going to start by looking at any tiles that it has none of, or tile types that it has none of. In this case, that's all of them. So that doesn't narrow it down at all. And next, it's looking at green and yellow. This green and yellow castle means it is only going to consider tile types that are marked by the green and yellow. So we're looking at corridors and food. And then to final tile, we're going to count, starting from the leftmost tile, moving right 4 times. And if we get to the end of the row, we will always loop back to the left. So we're looking at only corridors and food, moving from the left 4. So I've got 1, 2, 3, and back again 4. It takes this corridor, and it's going to put it right there. It's worth mentioning here that the AI is going to score its own castle, starting with a base score based on the level that we're playing at. And we're playing normal mode, which is level 3. So it's going to start with 32 points. And then it's going to score based on how high each of these columns is at the end of the game. So every column that's 2 or less scores nothing. Every column that's 3 or 4 high will score 4 points. And every column that's 5 or 6 high will score 9 points. And then down here at the bottom, you'll see if we ever have exactly 7 of the 8 spaces filled, they'll get 10 points. And 8 spaces completely filled, they will get 13 points. So I do want to try and keep them short and narrow whenever possible. I also did forget to mention that when we're analyzing the priority on this card, anything that is already 5 tiles or higher will instantly be ignored unless all of the tiles that match the priority all have 5 or more tiles, in which case they'll be considered again. So now that that's done, we will look at the colored castle in the bottom right corner, which in this case is gray. So we will place the tile I marked with the gray castle into this castle. Now I do want to make sure that I build sleeping rooms above this, and I know that a sleeping room could go there to score 2 points on the throne room, so I will put that right there. Now we move to the rightmost player. Same exact thing. I'm going to mark 2 castles. He wants living and corridors, which we have 1 of each of. Yeah, let's just start by marking both of those and see what happens. Because those corridors also score off of torches, and this castle is a torch type. So we'll go ahead and turn this over. Again, we don't care about the secret rooms now because I don't have any. This icon tells me I'm only looking at the tiles that have the closest number to 5. So right now we've got 0 except for this one has 1. So this is the one that's closest to 5, which means it's only considering corridors, and there is only 1 corridor, so it will take this other corridor tile. And now you'll see that this says I should take the gray castle, but that just got drafted by the AI. So the only tile I have left is the blue tile, so I'm going to take that one and add it to the castle. Now this is a purple. It wants to have basements directly below it, so I'd like it at floor level. And the throne room is going to score on living rooms on either side of it. So it doesn't matter which side I place it on, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. And now we move to my turn. So for my turn, I simply get to take 2 tiles, placing 1 in each of my 2 castles. All right, so I am going to score for sleeping rooms up and down from this room. And this will score yellow or blue, or sleeping or food, here or here. So I'm going to play this yellow room, and I'm going to stick it here because this yellow room scores for sleeping rooms above or below. Below is unfortunately the throne room, but I can put a sleeping room there which will score here and here, which is nice. So we'll start like that. And then the other castle, all I have are these 3 outdoor rooms that all score for living, which is great anyway. And this other room that scores for orthogonally adjacent tiles and is negatively affected by sleep. So I don't want that one here. And the outdoor rooms anywhere is fine, but this is going to score off of purple living rooms. So I'm just going to take that and put that here. Now remember, that's a blue edge tile. It's an outdoor tile. It means I can't place anything above that tile. So we'll have to think about that moving forward. All right, then we move to the left side. Again, there are only 3 tiles. I don't want that sleeping tile there. Well, it's not a huge deal, but it also will score potentially on trumpet rooms, or not, sorry, not trumpet rooms. This is a trumpet room. On the torch rooms. So I do potentially want that in this castle anyway. So we're going to the left. I'm just going to mark both of those. One of them will get placed there. They're both exactly the same, so I don't care. Let's see what the AI card does. All right, so again, we're looking at only rooms that are up to 5, which again is those corridor rooms, but we don't have any corridor rooms, which means that doesn't mean anything. And there are no other conditions, so we're simply going to start from the left and count all tiles up to 2. So they're going to draft this outdoor room, which will get placed over here. And that means, regardless of what this castle says in the bottom, this outdoor room gets placed over here. Now remembering we want this to be the sleep room. So I'm going to place this over here on this side. And we will want to draft some living rooms later to get some points for that outdoor room. This is the last tile. It gets removed from the game. And we start our next draft set of 9 tiles. All right, so going through very quickly on these rooms. We've got the chaise room, which is a living room that scores 1 point for connected or surrounding activity rooms. We've got a secret room pointing down, so it will copy whatever tile is directly below it. We've got a torch storage utility room that's going to score 1 point for connected living rooms. We've got a downstairs basement gunpowder room that scores 1 point for every corridor above or below in the same column. We've got the horseshoe pit outdoor room that scores for activity rooms. The game storage utility room that scores for connected living rooms. These are both scoring for connected living rooms. If we can start a nice chain of living rooms with both of those connected, we could score some good points. Here we've got a food room, the cutlery room that scores for any outside room to the left or right. Bowling alley activity room that scores for the orthogonally adjacent tiles but doesn't want to be near living room. So that will not pair with the living room that scores on activity rooms. And finally, we've got a utility room, coat room, that scores for connected outdoor rooms, which is tricky because outdoor rooms can't be stacked. We can't put anything on top. So I can't put this on top of an outdoor room. I can only put it next to an outdoor room. So we're going to have a long, straight chain of outdoor rooms if we want to score any real points off of that. We can, however, put outdoor rooms on top. So if I put this out next to an outdoor room, I could stack at least one on top to score. So that is an option. The start of the second hand, we go to the right. I like purple because we're scoring for that with the outdoor room. These torch rooms also are scoring for living rooms, which is nice. So let me say I'm going to have that living room. And then, yeah, we'll pick one of these utility rooms. I like the game room just because it's a game storage room. And we will turn over this card. Again, we don't have any secret tiles this time, so we don't care about that. I'm looking at the marked tiles first, which are corridors and food. We have one food, so we're going to stop there because that's the only tile that's going to work is that one. So it's going to take that tile and place it right there. And then it suggests that I take the gray castle, so we get this living room. Now this living room wants to be surrounded as much as possible by activity rooms. So if I put it over here somewhere, it's already got other tiles around it, so that's not great. Also, my throne room wants a purple or corridor to the left side, so that works very nicely right there. Now it's my turn. So I'm going to place one in each of these 2 rooms. I will place one of those utility rooms that connects purple rooms, and if we could somehow connect here with purple. No, you know what? Let's do it from this side because I do want to keep those utility rooms here, and it would be nice if we can get this having some more purple built off it. Except if I put it here, yeah, I'm okay with it there. The problem is I locked in this purple, and I can't make a chain of purple there, but I can always go up and over. So we'll leave that there. Then the left castle has a food, an outdoor, and a basement. The coat room for connected outdoors is not horrible, The bowling alley is not a bad idea because I don't have any living rooms there. And I could put it there and already have 2 tiles adjacent. I don't have any corridors, so we're not scoring with that great. This scores something the same as something below it, which right now would just mean that I could copy this yellow tile, and I don't have any sleeping tiles in that column yet, so that's not really helpful either. So I am going to take that coat room and put that there. Now we have to try and connect green rooms to that one. Now we're moving to the left. I do like that activity room that is affected by purple. And if I am getting that activity room and I do score for outdoors, whoops, I might as well mark the outdoor tile, and let's see what happens next. All right, no conditions this time, just the 9th tile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It takes this outdoor room tile here, which means I am going to place the bowling alley, and I will stick it in this corner here because that already scores twice for that tile. And then we move on to the final turn of this hand, looking at these 3 tiles. For the right castle, the down one is not going to help anywhere because down here scores for activity rooms, and that would kill space for an activity room. Down here scores for connected purple, and that's not purple. And I can't put anything above that. So that's sort of useless for me right now. However, I could put that, like, say for example, to the side here and then later play a basement, and it would then copy the basement. But I'm going to stay away from that. I'm going to, I'm just going to take, well, I don't get to take. I don't want that. The torch storage and the gunpowder room would both be great. Let's see what they take. All right, so we're looking at green and yellow, but that is corridors and food, and there aren't any. So then we want tiles that have none in the castle, which would be downstairs, living, sleep, activity, and utility. And I'm sorry, we do have a secret room. So here the secret room is the activity type, which is available this round. So we're just going to count the 6 tiles because that's activity, that's utility, and that's downstairs, and they all have 0. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to take this downstairs room here, which means I'm going to take this torch storage, and I'd like it if we can get both of these torch storages connected to the same purple chain. So I'm going to place that here, and then we will hope that I can start building purples over here somehow. We'll see what happens. That tile goes away, and we place out our final hand for the first round. All right, so for the first turn in this hand, it's my turn. Let's go through the tiles real quick. I've got a utility room that gets 1 point for connected corridors, which we don't have any yet. I've got a food room that does 2 per food above and below, which would score here, but would also kill the scoring of that one. A flower garden that scores for the specialty rooms, which includes your throne room. An outside turtle pond that scores 1 for sleeping rooms, which I really want to have here, but I don't have any yet. But this orange scores on green, and that green would score on potential sleeping, so I might want that. Here's a kennel that scores on sleeping rooms that are connected. Here's another brown room, the activity room, darts room, that scores on orthogonally adjacent and does not want to be anywhere near basements, which is pretty easy. We could just keep it up high somewhere. A library, which is a living room that scores when it's touching a throne room or a specialty room, which actually works here because that would connect to my orange and to my throne room, which would be nice. Here I've got a yellow that scores on activity rooms above and below, which works here pretty well because we could stack that and the activity room. And finally a yellow that scores next to corridors, which we don't have any of. So I'm going to place that purple living room that scores off of specialty rooms there to score for that and score based on that. And that's my 3rd purple tile, which means I score the bonus for purple, which is placing one of those royal attendants in my castle. Right now I've got 2 square mirrors, 2 torches, and 2 swords. And looking at what I might be placing in there soon, not a lot of special stuff. But I see a round mirror, a square mirror, a square mirror, a sword, and a torch. So let me lean towards swords or torches. And I'll just choose torches simply because the throne room is torches and it matches nicely. So we'll go ahead and we will place the torch royal attendant into the castle here. And then in the left castle, we've got lots of options, but I do like setting myself up for a bunch of stuff. Let's put this yellow above this brown room here. This scores for being adjacent to this. This scores when something is adjacent, so that's a nice placement there. And we move now to the left. I wouldn't mind stacking another brown on top of that, but then I need to do my best to surround it, but we'll try. We'll see what happens. So I wouldn't mind having that darts room. Plus, I wouldn't mind having a green that's going to score off of sleeping if I ever start getting those sleeping rooms in there that I need. So I'm going to aim for that turtle pond. We'll try those two, and let's see what the AI says. Secret rooms are orange. We don't have any secret rooms. We want to go for the things that are closest to 5, which means right now corridors and outdoor rooms. The number is 4, so we're only counting corridors and outdoor rooms, which are just these 2 outdoor rooms. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Unfortunately, it takes the turtle pond. And that means the castle that is left is this darts room, which I will place here above the jammery. Moving to the right. All right, I need to figure out what's good here. Outdoor is not horrible because we sort of already started this thing, but we only have 1 specialty room so far. So that's only scoring 1 point right now. I could take this orange simply to trigger the 3 oranges, but it's going to score for connected blue, and I don't really know that I'm going to put too many over there because I haven't really diversified. Over here, I already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different room types. So if I can add a purple or a living room or a corridor and then get sleep, that'll trigger the sleep room. So that's good over here. This is scoring to, you know what? This key room's not a bad idea. If I can get purple to go here and here, yeah, but that's not going to connect to anything. And this is supposed to be scoring on brown that it's touching, but I'm kind of killing that right now. So, none of these are ideal. But I wouldn't mind that orange, and I wouldn't mind that flower garden. Let's see what happens. Secret is purple, we don't care. We're only looking at empty spots. So I've got living, sleeping, activity, and utility. So the only ones it's looking at are these 2 orange rooms here. We're moving 3 spaces. So 1, 2, 3. It's going to take the key room, which means, whoops, I marked that with the wrong one. We're going to get that flower garden. I will hide it over here so it doesn't impact the castle and will potentially score us some points later. So then we finish off the round with my turn. Again, I don't really care for much of this stuff. I could kill that yellow by putting this yellow to score 2 points, but doesn't let that score anymore. I could put this yellow off somewhere. Oh, you know what? Why not? If I put this yellow here, well, either yellow, this one wants more yellow above, and this one wants corridors over here. If I put this, though, it's my 3rd yellow, and extra yellow may or may not matter later if I want to get that specialty room added in. But yeah, let's take this. There's another yellow might be nice to have. That is my 3rd yellow, so we are going to trigger the yellow bonus, which is I get to draw 5 tiles at random from the box. And then I get to take one of these tiles and place it in my castle immediately. I got a yellow that scores on sleeping rooms that doesn't help. I've got a corridor that scores on swords around it. I've got an outdoor that scores for food rooms, which would be nice because I have 3 food rooms. And I could also put it next to that orange to score. I got an orange that scores for connected corridors, which I don't care about. And I've got my sleeping room. Having that sleeping room could be really nice because that'll score me for this and for my sleeping room, assuming I can get either a corridor or a living room later. So that's an instant 3 points, could be 7. And this is just the 3 points, doesn't get me anything else. So let's take that sleep room. We'll put that there. And then those tiles are removed from the game. And then on the right side, the yellow food room does not really help me at all. And this orange kennel doesn't really help me too much, but if I put it all the way over here on the right side, it's out of the way, and it's not gonna get me sort of blocked off in any other locations, but it will potentially score if I can get a sleeping room touching it. So that's not horrible, but more importantly, it gives me my third orange tile, which means I unlock the orange bonus, which is going to be drawing 3 of these bonus cards over here. 1, 2, 3. Let's take a look at what we've got. This one scores me 3 points for every tile that's completely surrounded, which based on my long castle is probably not going to happen. This one's going to score me 4 points for every set of 5 of the same color tile I have, which could happen with orange and purple if I aim to do that, especially with purple is good for this one. And this one is going to score me 2 points per secret room. Again, I don't have any. I'm going to take that per 5, and I'm going to try real hard to get more purple and orange in the next round. And then those 2 cards get discarded. That's the last tile, so it's removed from the game, and we reset for round 2. All right, so let's take a look at the tiles. We've got a living room, the club room that scores for brown that's surrounding it, which would be nice, except the only brown I want to put it next to is this one, and it doesn't want to be next to a living room. I've got, 2 sleeping rooms, which is great. I've got a secret room pointing up, which could potentially be nice to copy this downstairs if we can get more sleeping rooms above that one. I've got an outdoor that scores on underground, which could be nice for this castle. I've got a living room that scores on corridors surrounding it, which is not great right now. I've got another activity room that doesn't want to be near other activity rooms, so it doesn't go in that hole. Nothing goes in that hole anyway. There's an outdoor room there. So it could go over there and not be a problem, but I want a yellow tile there if I can. Could always go up there, but then it's next to brown, and that's not good. Got a living room that wants to be near yellows, which could happen over here. And then this one is a promo tile that just randomly came up. Some of the other ones might be promo tiles as well. There are a couple I've got scattered in here, but this one is very clearly the Dice Tower promo tile. And this one is scoring 2 points for very specific tiles: Scythe Room, the Game Storage Room, the Vineyard, and Between Two Rooms. So these are scoring on all of these sort of Stonemaier Games themed tiles. I do have somewhere, I think, the game room. No, that didn't get placed. Yes, it did. Game storage room is here. So that would score me 2 points if I put that there. I don't think I have Scythe Room, Between Two Rooms, or Vineyard out. No. But they might come out later. The Vineyard is here, so we couldn't get that. But Scythe Room and Between Two Rooms might come out later. So let's keep our eyes open. But anyway, it's the right player's turn. I do want more purple over there so I can work on this chain. This one's scoring based on browns that are nearby, and so is this one. So if I can get a brown over here and put the purple there, that might be nice to have. So let me try and get that and or that and see what happens. Our secret room is a food room this turn, and we're looking at empty rooms. So I got living, sleeping, and activity only, counting 2. 1, 2, it takes this sleeping room. And I get the gray castle room, which is the club room that will fill in that corner right there. Which means now that this is connected to 3 living rooms. I would love to extend it there. I do have one more living room that I can put in there. So let's see what we can do. That would be nice. All right, next is the left side player. I want that sleeping room badly. I would also not mind having the purple one that's near yellow, or the secret for the basement. Yeah, let's aim for those two. And then we will turn over and see what we get. Secret is a green room. We're looking for things that are empty, means living and activity, counting 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The activity room is going away, which is sad because I did want to put that over here. And we're going to get the blue room, which means I get that basement room. I'm going to put that down here, which means we're copying that basement room. So to remember that, I will put this basement room symbol underneath there. And now it's my turn. My turn says I really want this sleeping room up here. It scores for the brown. It scores for my column, which is now double for sleeping rooms above. It's worth mentioning that I said I needed 6 colors for this one. The secret room doesn't count as its own color because now it is that black. So I still need to have either a purple or a gray. It means a living room or a corridor in here to trigger those sleep scores. So I need to be careful about that moving forward. And then over here, I still want to continue that connection if possible. And yeah, either one of those, neither one of those. Actually, that's better over here because there's a chance. Yeah, but that can't get there now because we only have one more turn in this round. All right, so it doesn't really matter. I'm going to take one of these purple and I'm going to put it there. All right, so then we move to the right automa again. In this case, I wouldn't mind either that purple or that orange. Let's see what happens. No secret rooms. We're looking at the tallest one, which is this outdoor one. So it's only choosing from outdoor, means it's going to take this other outdoor tile there. And then I get the gray one, so I do get the dice tower room, which is a little bit sad. If I put that there, which I'm going to have to, this is only ever scoring on this purple because it cannot score diagonally for connected rooms. And there's no way I'm getting purple over here because that's an outdoor room. But that's fine. It scores me 2 points. And if I can find the scythe room or the between 2 rooms to put up on top of that, that wouldn't be bad. This is the last tile. It's thrown out from the game. We start our next 9 tiles, moving into the next hand. Now, before we do start the next round, I do need to point out I just missed that I had picked up my 5th purple room in this side, so I get to take one of any of the specialty rooms. Again, the fountain is worth 5 points. The tower is worth however many are below it, so that would be 3 points if I did that. The grand foyer is going to be 1 point for every tile touching it, and the ballroom is going to score on tile types in other places. So I think I'm just going to take a fountain for the 5 flat points, and I'm going to stick it out over here at the end of this one. I'll slide it in just a little so we can see. All right. Now we start the next turn. This time we're starting with the left player. We've got an orange that scores on connected browns, an orange that scores on connected blues, which could happen up here if I keep adding more blues. That wouldn't be a bad idea. Brown that doesn't want to be near other browns. A secret down, a secret left. A sleeping room, a downstairs that scores for specialty rooms above, and then another sleeping room. We need badly to have a purple or a gray over here, and there aren't any this round. So we need to double make sure next round that we're doing that. Now, I do want him to have a sleeping room badly. There are 2 of them. That will be my 3rd sleeping room and score me lots more points again. We still have to cross our fingers for purple or gray next turn, but let's see what happens this turn. Secrets are green. We want corridors or food based on that. We don't have any of those. So we're going for the highest one, which is green or outdoor. We don't have any of those either. So we're simply counting 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll take this brown room here. And then the blue castle gets placed here. I'm going to place that sleeping room up top there. Moving to my turn, I could place one more sleeping room up there, but I'd rather have a brown. Ah, it took the brown. Never mind. So then I will probably. Oh, there's another sleeping room. We're going crazy with the sleepings. I wish that I had. Ah, no, that's the orange, not the brown. Yeah, there's still 2 sleeping rooms. I'm going to put this orange tile up here, which is going to score for those connected sleeping. And I can keep putting sleeping rooms up there. And later, if I can get a tower, that would be amazing. But I need to pause for a second because I forgot to take the bonus for that, which is a little bit of a problem because the bonus for a blue is a tower. And I am absolutely 100% going to put that tower there, which blocks off the rest of that column. But it's worth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points. So I want this orange connected to blue. I will instead start that column there. And I can put more blues up there. Would be nice. And if I can find an outdoor room that scores on sleeping rooms, I would be made. But in the meantime, I need to place something on the right side. A sleeping room wouldn't be bad to connect to that one. We're scoring on living rooms. I don't have any. This orange scores on brown surrounding me. Ah, both of these sleeping rooms could potentially become purple. The problem with that is I already have 5 purple in here, so I don't really want that to happen. Yeah. And that's not going to score me anything to do that. I think at this point, either this basement for the downstairs or a sleeping room to start scoring some points off of that might be the right answer. But I only have 3 different colors here. So we have to be careful with that as well. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to take this basement room and put it, it says for special rooms. I'm going to put it under this specialty room because there's a chance that we might put something up above it later, like a tower. And we'll stick with that. Then we move to the right turn. So we got to keep putting something here. A sleeping room wouldn't be a bad idea. Ooh, and this secret room could be another fountain for 5 points, which could be really nice to have. But unfortunately, a secret room cannot copy a specialty room, so that doesn't help me either. So we'll just aim for sleep or sleep. That way we're protected. All right, so then we turn over the card to see what happens. The secret rooms are going to be outdoor rooms. We're looking at the highest stack, which is outdoor. So the only rooms we're looking at right now are the secret rooms. We're counting to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It takes that secret room. Now, because it's an outdoor room, it'll place it in the outdoor room column, and from now on, that's considered an outdoor room. But now that's got 5 tiles. So unless we ever get 5 tiles and everything else, we won't be adding any more to that column. And then finally, we're going to take that blue castle room, which is the sleepover room, and I'm going to put that here on top of the orange room. Now, I don't know if we're going to be able to score that for the full point value because I'm not sure that I'm going to have, again, only having green, orange, and purple and black. That's 4 colors. We need 2 more colors of brown, gray, or yellow. And this side is also needing that gray potentially as well. So we'll see. We might have to get very lucky in the last round to get both of those scored well. So now we move into the last turn of this hand is the left automa. Yes, sleep, please. Orange next to brown is not going to do anything right now, and I really wanted that down secret because I could have copied this yellow and had a yellow stacked on yellow. Would have been really nice. The adjacent to the left is not going to work because I don't mind copying this because it wouldn't be next to any green. And I can't put it there or anywhere else that has a tile to the left. I could put it down here, but there's no sleep rooms. There will be. All right, let's try that. Or there potentially will be because I want sleep touching that. So secrets are food this time. We're looking at corridor and food. Well, guess what? There goes my secret room as a food room. Means we are going to get that sleep room, and we will put it there at the top. Last tile gets removed, and we go into our final hand of the game. All right, so this time I start us off for the final hand. And let's take a look at the rooms quickly. So we've got a brown room that scores, or fails to score if it's touching yellow. We've got a corridor that scores for mirrors, round mirrors around it, which could score a little bit here and would also score off there, which isn't bad. We've got a downstairs room that scores off yellows above, which could do in any of these three columns. We've got a purple that scores off of downstairs. Oh, that one is too, so we may need to put some downstairs in here just to have them. We've got a secret to the left again, which is not great. But it could copy a downstairs and score off of that. Another sleeping room, which could be nice there or there, although here is not a big deal anymore, except it scores 1 point off of this. But it's also scoring 1 point off of this, and I need to focus more on this castle because I think this one right now is scoring less. This is a green that scores on downstairs. And we've already got 2. This wants a green touching it. We might get more downs, which would be nice. I need to put this purple over here badly, because if I don't, we're in trouble. Yeah, okay. Then this is a downstairs that scores for specialty rooms, and a brown that doesn't want to be near sleeping rooms. All right, so counting for me, I need a gray or a purple over here, so I'm going to put that purple here. I have to, because now I've activated my blue rooms on that side. And over here now I need a brown, gray, yellow kind of pattern if I want to activate that sleep room. And I don't have any yellow, but I do have brown and gray. Let's make sure that gray gets placed. If I place that there, it's scoring off these 2 round mirrors, and this one is scoring for being next to the gray corridor room, so that works out nicely. We move to the right automa, focusing on the right room. I need to have a brown to make sure we're scoring well. This brown is great because it doesn't get hurt by anything but yellow. I can put it there. It's going to score 3 points instantly. Yeah, and that gets me the brown, which will activate that sleep room if I'm lucky. I wouldn't mind having a downstairs here that scores off the throne room and then also triggers that purple. Would be nice. All right, so let's see what happens. Secrets are downstairs. We're looking at empty ones, which are only living rooms. There aren't any. So we're counting from the left 1 space. It's taking away that brown room, which means I really need to get this brown room there to score my sleep room. But I will be placing this downstairs here as originally planned. Nice thing is it's also a torch, which is scoring for the attendant there. We move to the left now. On the left, I would like to have this downstairs and this outdoors that scores for downstairs. I can't have both this turn, but hopefully one now and one on my turn next. We'll turn this over. Secrets are downstairs. We're looking at the highest that's not 5, which means brown rooms, which is horrible because now I can't get this brown room because it will take that brown room. And then the blue room, or blue castle room, is going to come over here, which means that goes there, which is nice because it's connected to the orange room. And it means now on my turn, I can place this downstairs room scoring on yellow above. Doesn't matter here or here because they're both scoring on yellow. And that becomes my 3rd downstairs room as well, which lets me take any bonus that I like. Now I could get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7-story tower out of that, which is better than getting a flat 5 points. There's no space for me to get, if I put a a grand foyer there, I'd get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, which is less than that 7. If I got lucky with a ballroom for outdoor, that's 5, 6, 7 as well. So the other option I could take is the orange card and hope for something that really helps me out. Or just draw 5 tiles from the bag and place one. I don't really want to take that kind of risk. Yeah, let's just take a tower because I know that's going to get me 7 points. Hold on, let me look at the symbols. Do I have anything that I have more than 7 of? I could get a royal attendant. Swords looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Torches looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, no. All right, we'll take the tower for 7 and put that there. And now I place one more tile over here on the right. And I might as well put that sleeping room because this secret room is not going to do any good for me. That's a second sleeping room that, oh no, hold on. That's not going to activate. If I put this secret room here, it's purple, which is doing me no good. It scores me 1 point for that. Remember, sleeping rooms aren't activating, so they're only 1 point. So if I put that there, that's still only 1 point. So then I might as well put this down here in the basement. Oh yeah, that's nice. That's perfect, because that becomes a black downstairs, which scores off this purple tile. Plus, that's my third downstairs. So I can get something nice to have. If I put a tower up there, I get 1, 2, 3, 4. Plus 2 is 6. Because this scores on specialty rooms. Oh, this is also a torch, which is nice, because that'll score off of my attendant. Could get lucky with a ballroom and score 5, 6, 7 points on outdoor rooms, but I don't know that I want to press that luck. Same thing with the bonus cards. I could get lucky, but I'm going to take that tower and just take that 6 points. So that is the end of the final turn. This tile gets discarded and we move into scoring. All right, so to do the scoring, let's start from the top. We've got this tower that's scoring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points. This tower scores 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points as well. Over here, the sleeping room is activated because we do have 6 colors: brown, orange, yellow, purple, green, and black. So that's 4 points. That's 4 points. This scores 1, 2, 3, 4 for connected blues. That's 4 points. This brown is scoring 1, 2, 3 points. This blue is 4 points. This yellow is scoring 2 for each brown above or below, so 2, 4 points. This yellow is scoring for sleeping rooms above and below, so that's 2 points. This brown scores 1, 2, 3. Over here, this living room scores nothing because there is no downstairs here. Ah, that was stupid. That meant to go there. I would have gotten 1 extra point, but that's fine. This one scores nothing because there's no yellow there or there. My throne room is scoring 2 for that and 2 for that for 4 points. This outdoor tile is scoring for living rooms, which I only have 1 of, so we get 1 point for that. This orange coat room is scoring for the outdoor rooms connected, so that's 2. This outdoor is scoring for downstairs, which I have 3 of. Downstairs scoring for sleep, 1, 2, 3. This one scoring for yellows is just that 1. And finally, this downstairs also scoring for sleep because it's copying this one is 1, 2, 3 points for a total of 63 points for this castle. All right, so now we do the same thing for the castle on the right. This tower scores 1, 2, 3, 4 points. This corridor is scoring for round mirrors adjacent, so 1, 2. This living room scores for corridors adjacent, which is 1. This dice tower room is scoring for 2 points for that game storage room there. The club room is scoring for brown that it touches, which unfortunately is none. The library scores for specialty rooms that it touches, which is just this 1. The torch storage is scoring for living rooms that are connected, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. This one, same thing, which is just this 1 here. This sleepover room, unfortunately, only scores 1 point because we didn't get enough other things. This living room again scores for brown, which again, unfortunately, we weren't able to get. I really wanted that brown, but they stole it. This one's going to score me 2 points for each of these living rooms, so 4 points. This one scores for downstairs in these 3 spaces, which there are 2. So that's going to get me 4 points there. This outdoor scores for living rooms, which I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. This one scores for specialty rooms, which is 1, 2, 3. This one is scoring for connected sleeping rooms, which is just that one there. That gives me a flat 5 points. This basement scores for specialty 1, 2. Sorry, that's 2 points per specialty, which means 2 times 2 is 4. This basement again, 2 for specialty, but now we've only got the 1, so that's 2 points. And this is copying the same thing, scoring for specialty, but unfortunately we don't have any in that spot. Finally, we're scoring 1 point per torch based on the royal attendant here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 torches for a total score of 49. And then finally we score the castle that the Automa built together. They start with a flat score in level 3 of 32 points. Plus, these 1 tile and 2 tile stacks score nothing. Everything that's 3 or 4 high, which is here, scores 4 points. So that's plus 4. This tile here that is 5 points will give them, 5 tiles will give them 9 points. And then finally, because they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 exactly, they will score another 10 points for a total of 55 on that castle. Which means me with a 63 and a 49 get the lower of the 2 scores of a 49. The right AI with a 49 and a 55 will get the lower score also of a 49. But the left AI with the score of 63 and 55 is going to score 55 as their total, and with the 55, the left Automa player wins, and unfortunately, I've lost the game. Now, while I'm at the table, I do like to show the contents of the game and talk a little bit about how I feel about it. First, we've got these wooden castle pieces. They are all unique, and I'm pretty sure they all represent real castles in the world. I think that's really cool because they could have all been the same shape, just in different colors. But the fact that they've modeled them all completely different adds to the charm of the game. I can't really show too many of these because there are tons and tons and tons of them, but the tiles all have unique names and unique artwork, and they just ooze personality. There's all kinds of fun little things hidden in them. They all have really, really cool artwork. Again, each of the room types could have the same picture, but thematically it's really cool to see, as you can see, this growing across your table. I've got one castle that's super long horizontally and one castle that's got this huge sort of central tower area, and it's just really fun to see all of the different unique rooms. It sort of builds a story as you see how each of the rooms connects to each other, the shape of the castle that you're building, and just having that individual artwork on each tile is really, really, really cool to me. The bonus cards, while the design is very sort of standard, I mean, it's just color with logos and numbers, it's very easy to read. The orange makes it very clearly associated with the orange tiles, so I don't think that there's anything different that needed to be done, and they make really easy sense just looking at the cards. As far as the insert to the game goes, I'm almost perfectly happy with this. It's amazingly well put together. They come with these game trays. This is the base game tray with the tile stacks all laid out. Each of these stacks holds exactly 9 tiles aside from these 2, which hold all the remaining extra tiles. I do have, as I showed you, some promo tiles in here, so it doesn't fit 100%, but they all have these really nice lids that click on and hold everything in place. So even this stack that's a little bit too tall for the hole doesn't go anywhere because the lid is holding it on really nicely. The base game also comes with this small one that holds all of the extra special tiles and the bonus cards, and you'll see it locks right in with that top tray. And again, has a really nice cover that goes on it to keep everything in place. And then clearly this was designed from the start to have an expansion, because the expansion tray, which also has 2 9-tile stacks, some space for extra additional tiles that don't fit into those 9-tile stacks, and then stacks for those ballroom tiles that come from the expansion, with all of those secret room tokens that fit right in there. And again, a nice lid that fits right on top of that. And that also locks into the base game tray. So clearly, this was designed from the start to work perfectly like this, which I find very, very nice. And I'm not going to load everything in, but you can see that the box fits perfectly over that insert. So there's very little empty space in the box. The small cards can sort of fit in the side here next to the insert inside the box. And all of the bigger cards, like the AI cards that I showed you before, or the AI scoring, or the Automa turn instructions, they can all fit just on top of here in the box. And everything fits really nicely. Now, I did just kind of flash that at the screen. It does come with a very nice walkthrough of an Automa turn for both the main Automa variant and as well as the single castle Automa variant, which I'll talk a little bit about in my review. And then finally, both the base game and the expansion come with score pads. Now, each of these score sheets only scores a single castle, so you're going to need 3 sheets per game. I don't really use these because I just use a scrap piece of paper, but it's worth showing that they're in here and they're double-sided. So if you like score sheets like this and they are helpful to you, it's very nice that they've included a ton of them in the box. So that's pretty much it for the components. Meet me back up top and I'll let you know what I think about the game itself. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. This one's going to be a little bit tricky for me to talk about on its own, because as I mentioned in the introduction, it is very much a mashup of 2 already existing, fairly well-regarded games. And so as I talk about this game, I'm not going to be able to help but refer to or compare it to those 2 original games, because I have played both of those games and I have enjoyed both of those games quite a bit. So as I talk, I hope to do my best to explain to you what it is about this game that I like or don't like, but also that's going to sort of happen by comparison to the old game. So let me sort of start with my history of interaction or experiences with these games, and that is with Castles of Mad King Ludwig. I'd already been a fan of Bézier's Suburbia, and Castles sort of took the base or the core of Suburbia and twisted it a little bit. You're here in Castles of Mad King Ludwig, you're building castles, you're drafting tiles, putting them together to sort of build this crazy madcap random bunch of rooms stuck together to make this cool castle on the table. And I thought it was such a cool thing that you were building this castle, but that the castle had all of these individual rooms that were very much different from each other. And it really brought out this awesome theming of this cool castle that was expanding out across the table. Now, the way that you did this in Castles of Mad King Ludwig was that every round one person was acting as what was called the master builder, and that person set the prices for each of the tiles that was available, or each of the rooms that was available for a given round. And then the other players were paying or not paying based on those prices that had been set, and that money was going to the master builder. And then the next round, the next person would be the master builder, and that would sort of continue in that way with a new master builder. So I love this idea of drafting tiles or buying tiles and making money to then buy tiles later to start building this really cool castle that is scoring based on adjacency and based on how rooms interact with other rooms within the castle. And I had a lot of fun with this game, but my biggest issue with the game back then was this master builder mechanic. I've never been great at auction games or bluffing games or any of those kinds of games that require me to play the game above the table while I'm also playing the game at the table. And this idea of setting the right price to get the most money out of my opponents while not scaring them away from buying things, but also scaring them away from tiles that I might want to buy, was fun and very interesting, but really stressful and sort of took away from my enjoyment of the game. So here, in between 2 Castles of Mad King Ludwig, I still have that scoring based on adjacency, scoring on the type of tile. I still get to see a castle expanding across my tabletop, which I really, really, really enjoy. I still get that the flavor of this crazy castle with random rooms, and each room is beautifully illustrated and very different from the others. And all of that goodness of drafting and placement and puzzling and building is still there. And I still really enjoy that aspect of it. But I lose that master builder. Now we're just drafting tiles based on tiles that are available to us, sort of taking turns with the AI over who's going to take which. And there are some things that I control, and there are some things that I have some say in how they play out without the sort of bluffing or monetary thing that comes in that master builder mechanic. So I was very happy to see the core idea of Castles of Mad King Ludwig come out in this game without that sort of small mechanism that kind of bothered me in the original game. Now, looking at Between Two Cities, if you know me at all, you know that I love a spatial puzzler. And Between Two Cities is a really cool spatial puzzler. Now, that drafting idea that I mentioned here is a little bit different with the AI, and we'll talk specifically about the AI in a minute. But in the base game of this and also of Between Two Cities, the idea is sort of a standard card draft idea where I take some tiles, I pass to the next person, somebody passes to me, I take some tiles, I pass to the next person, I get them from that previous person again, and we keep drafting and passing and drafting and passing in that way. And that same mechanism from Between Two Cities is the core mechanism is how we're getting the tiles in this game. The difference though, in Between Two Cities, and forgive me, I don't remember the exact number of room types, but in Between Two Cities there was a set number of room types, and each of those types, or not rooms but buildings, sections of the city, each of those types was sort of set, and it always scored in the same way, and it always looked the same way, and the visual graphics of Between Two Cities sort of held me back a little. It didn't look horrible, the wooden building pieces were cool, but something about the visual style always kind of held me back a little bit. So that idea of the visual style not really feeling all that welcoming or exciting, and the idea that yes, while it was a fun puzzle, each of those tile types was always the same and always scored the same way, and it became this real sort of efficiency puzzle, which I really enjoy. I enjoy efficiency puzzles. I've played many games like that, and I do enjoy that because it's still this idea of how do we fit things together, how do we score based on adjacency and based on the different types interacting with each other. But I can't just have fun and see how much I can score. I always have to be planning ahead that this is the sort of maximum space that I'm building inside of, and what is the best way to fit these things inside that maximum space to score the best amount of points or the highest amount of points. Well, here in Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig, that idea of scoring based on adjacency and tile types and how they interact with each other is still there. That is still the main piece. And a lot of that comes from the original Castles of Mad King Ludwig, but a lot of that also comes from the original Between Two Cities. So it makes sense then that the mashup should work so well. But it gets rid of the sort of drab artwork of the original Between Two Cities, at least in my opinion, because now we've got this very vibrant castle that you're building with some really cool, interesting rooms with lots of little funny Easter eggs and interesting sort of personality touches in those rooms. But also now, each room, even of the same type, is scoring slightly differently, right? All of those orange utility rooms are based on chains of something touching them, but each of them is going to score on a different kind of tile chaining from them, right? The gray rooms, the corridor rooms, are scoring based around them based on that icon in the corner, the mirrors or the crossed swords or the torches. But each one of them is scoring on a different sort of type. The outdoor rooms are scoring for different kinds of tiles. They all score based on how many of that tile you have, but the type is different on each of those outdoor rooms. And now also the outdoor rooms can't be stacked on top of, which is interesting. We've got basement and corridor that can go underground, but everything else needs to go above ground. So there is some restriction on placement like that, but there isn't that sort of grid restriction like there was in the original Between Two Cities. And what that means is two things. Number one, it lets my castle sort of build out dynamically and create these cool patterns and cool shapes and makes these castles that look very different every time you play. So that adds into that theme of building this crazy castle. But also, what it means is it takes away that sort of efficiency puzzle. I'm not trying to constrain myself to this small space anymore. I'm now instead starting to think, how do I put these things in the best location that scores not only for the tile I'm placing, but for the tiles that are already on the board? So there is a constraint based on the scoring conditions and how I fit things together, but there's no reason that my castle can't organically grow off in one direction versus off in another direction for a different castle or a different play of this game. And I think that adds a lot of variability to the game, but also, again, it adds a lot of fun to the theme of building the castle as well. So for me, just looking at the core mechanisms and the core theming and the core styles of this game, I definitely myself think that I enjoy this much better than both Castles of Mad King Ludwig and Between Two Cities. I would still happily play either of those games, but I would definitely rather play this over either of those. So I think the mashup was a good one. Now, the AI here is a really cool thing, right? I didn't expect when I first heard this game announced that there was going to be an AI introduced. When that came out with the with the expansion, that Automa Factory, who's an amazing Automa or AI designing group. Anyway, Morton and his team do a wonderful job on all of these Automa that I've played of his. But when I saw that this expansion was coming with an AI for this, or an Automa for this, I was sort of confused how it was going to work. Now, I know Between Two Cities had a solo mode, and I have to say that I never had a chance to play it. I only played the original game multiplayer with somebody else's copy. So there was some sort of precedence to this, but I hadn't really looked too deep into that. So for me, this game was a new dive into the solo Automa thing, and my brain is thinking, how are they going to make this drafting puzzle work as a solo game, right? I mentioned that in the multiplayer game, I've got a handful of tiles, I take, I pass. Somebody else has passed to me, I take, I pass. And there's this whole puzzle not only of which tiles do I need, and I didn't talk about this yet, but I should have. You're scoring on 2 castles, and you're scoring your lowest castle of the 2. So you're thinking about which tile you need. You're thinking about which tile you need for 2 castles. You're thinking about how to help yourself by scoring more on your lower scoring castle, but also paying attention to the people on the 2 sides of you, trying to balance out their scores so that you're not giving one of them a ton of points and not the other one, but at the same time, boosting up your lower scoring. So there's this whole process going on in your head. But then it's not just about taking tiles, but it's about this sort of mind game of what am I passing to the next person? Because I know that the person I'm passing to now is also building a castle with me. So they might pick something nice to put in our castle if I send them something good. But if it's something great, they might take it and put it in their other castle, and that helps them and hurts me. So I have to be careful to what I'm passing to the next player. But also, I have to think about what I'm placing, because I have to sort of guess or predict what might be coming to me in the next hand. So to be able to turn that into a solo experience is not something that's easily done. And yeah, they sort of scrapped that kind of a draft in here. It is just a long line of tiles that you're drafting from. But there are 3 sets, right? Each round has 3 hands, and you're only looking at one of them at a time. So there is sort of still that prediction or that hope that the things that you want come out later in the game. But on top of that, this idea of how they're placing in the Automa's own shared castle, but also how you're sort of pushing them to take things in their castles that they're sharing with you is a really, really clever idea. And it plays really smoothly, right? You can always predict that they're going to try and aim for those 2 main tile types that they set out at the beginning of the game. They're always going to aim for things generally that are either empty or closer to that 5 rank. So anything that's sort of middling is probably okay for a little while, unless it's one of the 2 types that they're really aiming on. But you get these sort of ideas of what kinds of paths they might be aiming for. And at the same time, when they're drafting for the castles that you're sharing with them, you have those two castles, that blue castle and that gray castle, that gives you some idea or some control over, these are the ones that I think that you should pick. And it's going to pick one of those 2, depending on first what they've put in their own castle, and then also depending on what the card says to pick from those 2. But that's cool, right? Because that's sort of like the multiplayer game where I'm passing tiles to my neighbor, hoping that they might get some idea of what I placed and what I've passed, and sort of push them to place something in the castle that we're sharing. And it also gives the Automa a little bit of brain power, because it's really my brain power of how best to sort of build up the castle to score us the most points as possible, while also building towards something on their own castle that scores. So the ability to have turned a game like this into a soloable game that plays as smoothly as it does, plays as intelligently as it does, maintains that feel of, I don't know what's coming, but I'm planning for something that I really hope is going to come out. It's really cool to see that in a solo game. Now, there is another solo game where you can play with a single castle versus the Automa's single castle, and it plays fine. The spatial puzzle is still there. It's still a lot of fun. It plays a lot quicker than the regular game. But for me, part of the thrill, part of the enjoyment of Between Two Castles or Between Two Cities, the original game, is this idea that you're building two things and you're trying to balance the scoring so that you can win based on your lower score. And that goes away in that single castle variant. So I don't know that I'll ever play the single castle variant unless I'm looking for something really, really quick and I do just want to pull it out to get that spatial puzzle running through my head. So that's a whole lot of stuff just to say, yes, I think the mashup is a great idea. Yes, I think it's better than both of the individual pieces that have been mashed together in this game. Yes, I think Morton and the Automa Factory has done it again with a really cool solo Automa in this game. And yes, I really think that if you like drafting, if you like tile-laying games, if you like spatial puzzler games, if you like multiplayer or solo games that do this, I would strongly recommend that you check this game out. I don't see this one leaving my collection for a while simply because it's a lot of fun to play. It doesn't take a whole lot of time to set up because of those nice inserts. It doesn't take a whole ton of time to play, and it really brings a nice puzzle while you're playing the game. It plays really nice solo. It plays lots and lots of people. If I have a big group, this is a great one to pull out because it plays up to really high counts of players. I don't have much negative to say about this one. I think it's a whole lot of fun and it's definitely worth a look. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.